Andy, Warren and Stuart Watson here at Hillsborough, where Ipswich Town and Sheffield Wednesday have drawn 2-2. Ipswich 2-0 up in this one, and for a moment there it looked like they were heading on their way to a real big victory here in League One, but as it is, it's a point tinged with disappointment, but as you were at the top of the league. So tough one to sum up, really, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this one. A whole mixture of emotions on that final whistle. The first overriding one is obviously of disappointment and frustration because Ipswich have come to Hillsborough. They're 2-0 up in the 71st minute. There was a mass exodus of Wednesday players. There was missiles being chucked on the pitch in frustration. They were putting all their energies into the referee. You're never going to be in a better position to go on and win the game. But Ipswich didn't win it. Gave away too many free kicks in those last 20 minutes. Yeah. One of them led to a goal being pulled back quite quickly. There was always going to be that late Alamo, and they scored one in the 89th minute, and it's from an offside position. And Sheffield Wednesday have scored ultimately from their 2 shots on target in this game. The equaliser's offside. So, big exhale, big sigh, frustration. But then as the emotions sort of settle, you go still unbeaten, still top of the table, lots of things to like. Yeah, I think that's probably ultimately how you come away with it. You can't be happy coming away from a game where you're 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go. You can't instantly kind of grab those positives and run with them. You have to feel the disappointment because Ipswich had done what they came here to do, helped by an early goal, which allowed them to do things slightly differently, I think. But they limited Sheffield Wednesday to balls into the box. They didn't allow Bannon to play through the middle of the pitch, although everything that Sheffield Wednesday did still go through Barry Bannon. And when that second goal went in, Caden Jackson forcing the ball in off Dominic Iorfa's shins, it really did start to feel like kind of job done. The away end kind of gave up an unexpected kind of roar that they weren't expecting the second goal to come. It had come, Ipswich in control, but when one comes, I did have that fear that once one had come, 2 was going to come, and actually there were points where I feared that 3 might come as well for Sheffield Wednesday at the end. So unravel all of that, and and I think you do. Ultimately, if you put your head on rather than your heart, you come away happy enough with a point, especially as very early in the season. But Portsmouth and Plymouth both, they drew 2-2 today as well. It's as you were at the top of the table. We come away feeling positive about Ipswich from a really big game, which is fine. Yeah. If you said is a draw, I think a draw most people would have taken before this game.
Yep.
And as we stand here now, if I said to you, was a draw about right in terms of result? I think it probably was, and I know there'll be some people screaming at this saying, no way, offside goal, they only had 2 shots on target. I still think that the draw was about a fair reflection in terms of that performance. Yes, Ipswich did a lot of good things in this game. Did they do, on a reflection, as taking the performance as a whole, I think a draw was probably about right. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think so. We're never going to know the answer to this question. I'd be fascinated to know how this game would have played out had Caden Jackson not put Ipswich ahead after 4 minutes, because Ipswich, they weren't the Ipswich that we've known this season. They weren't looking to dominate possession and dominate that statistical category and make that count. There was diagonal balls looking to bring the wide players into the game, limit the time that the ball was in the middle of the pitch. A point you made during the game, if you limit the time that the ball is in the middle of the pitch, that limits Barry Bannon, who is quite possibly the best player in this league, one of the best in the Championship actually when we were looking at Ipswich there. So the game plan was different, and when 1-0 up, you felt a lot better about that game plan than you would have done if it had been 0-0. I don't know how you'd feel about that, but that's how I would feel about it.
Yeah, well, Kieran McKenna's made 3 changes to the team today. George Edmondson came in for the injured Cameron Burgess, had a very big hand in the first goal, just kept running out of the back, and the space was there, so he kept going. In the end, it was a sort of a tackle pass that goes through to Caden Jackson. Lovely one-on-one finish, 1-0 up after 4 minutes. But Kieran McKenna also made 2 changes at the top end of the pitch today, which was a bit more surprising.
Yeah.
And it was Caden Jackson and Tyrese John Jules coming in for Marcus Harness and Freddie Ladapo. And more interestingly, Caden Jackson played sort of wide left, and Tyrese John Jules would be what I think football hipsters would call a false nine today. So the idea was for Jackson and Burns to play very wide, very high, utilise their pace on the counter-attack. John Jules then drops very deep to give you those extra bodies in midfield. And Kieran McKenna said the plan was to come here and we wanted to defend. We wanted to play with more of a low block today, draw Sheffield Wednesday into a bit of a trap and hit them on the counter-attack. And that's what happened with the first goal. That's ultimately, I guess, is what's got them into a 2-0 lead. So tactically, everything kind of went to plan for so long in this game, didn't it? It's just a shame it didn't quite get over the line.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Jackson in that role. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife for Kieran McKenna at the moment. He brings all the same attributes to every role he's asked to play, but he's done right wing back, he's done this left-sided role today, he's played through the middle, and I don't think Dominic Iorfa enjoyed
No, he had him on toast today with his pace, didn't he?
But every time they could isolate him, and they couldn't always isolate the two of those up, but every time they could, something good happened for Ipswich, and that was that's obviously a game plan thing, that's a tactical thing, and everyone at Ipswich deserves a lot of credit for that, because it's ultimately it has produced the two.
Still moments with Caden where his touch is a bit heavy. There was one where he stuck it about 40 yards out of his feet in the first half. There was one in the second half where he miscontrolled one on his chest. You still get those moments with Caden Jackson, but he has super strengths, and that is his pace and the intelligent timing of his runs. And when you can utilise that, which Kieran McKenna seems to have found a knack of find a way to use that, he's a really good asset for Ipswich in this league, and they used him well today.
And a really good finish as well, which he's obviously missed one at Accrington the last time he got a start through the middle. I don't think they got those isolation matchups, those one-on-ones that they thought they were going to get at Accrington, but they were able to do it today. So, good tactical stuff there. And John Jules, I think he did what he was asked to do pretty well as well, dropping deep. All of his best work came with him kind of moving away from goal, using the ball, turning and trying to get Ipswich moving back the other way again. An interesting setup up there, which had them 2-0 up, and we keep saying it, but just couldn't see the job through. Tough one.